Hello, this is Keith, welcoming you to the 2059th edition of the Enfield Talking newspaper, Dateline the 4th of August 2016. The readers this week are Janet, Sally and Colin, with Robin on the controls. The editor was Janet and the production and distribution team is Phillip, Alan and Ali. Our title music is Country Rock Polka, composed by Pat Prilly, Ferdinand Bouillon and Harry Breur, and is performed by Jean-Jacques Perry, and it's used with his kind permission. The local news stories that we will be reading come from our local newspapers, the Enfield Gazette and Advertiser and the Enfield Independent, under their copyright. The events information has been collated by us from other sources. The local news headlines this week include Deaf Group Protest as Funding Slashed and Hospital Chief Looks for Improvement. Before the news, we have one or two special news items and notices. First, the sunrise and sunset times for tomorrow, the 5th of August, are sunrise 5:31, sunset 20:41. Keith and Di in Jersey are compiling the next edition of our magazine, which should reach you next month. If you have any final contributions for the magazine, such as details of places you visited or interesting stories you have to tell, please get in touch this week. You can call Diane and Keith on 020 8805 6578. Here are some other notices. Heartbreak Productions present The Tempest on Wednesday the 24th of August at 7 p.m. at 40 Hall Estate, 40 Hill, Enfield, EN2 9HA. Gather round Heartbreak Productions' Stone Circle to meet druids, bards and revellers who will perform a mystical rendition of Shakespeare's final play, The Tempest. Using masks, dance and song, this merry band of performing pagans will transport you to Prospero's magic isle, upon which he crafts a vengeful attack on his usurping kinsman. All alone, save for his daughter Miranda and two enslaved island inhabitants, Ariel, a powerful spirit, and a monstrous Caliban, Prospero commands a storm to sweep his brother onto the island. Battling against Caliban's treachery, Ariel attempts to bring off Prospero's master plan for vengeance in return for her freedom, and Miranda sees a proper man for the first time. More than a love story, this outdoor production of The Tempest explores man's conflict with nature, freedom and power, betrayal and forgiveness. So get involved in the storytelling circle and witness our druids enact Shakespeare's most memorable adventure. Call 020 8363 8196 for details how to book tickets, which are priced as follows: £12 for adults, £10 for concessions and £8 for children and young people. You can also buy a family ticket for £32, and that is for 2 adults and 2 young persons. So the number again is 020 8363 8196. Now you can also enjoy lazy Sunday afternoons in hilly fields with music on the bandstand. Bring the family and a picnic and enjoy music by 2FBS with a collection in support of the Nightingale Hospice. It's on Sunday the 21st of August from 3 to 5:30 p.m. If you'd like some more information and details about parking, visit www.hillyfields.info. And Hillyfields is all lowercase and all one word. Now, our normal notices. The first about the Macular Disease Society, which meets on the second Wednesday of every month from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. This is the Macular Disease Support Group. And they meet at the Trinity Church Hall in Gentleman's Row, Enfield, EN2 6AN. The meetings are open to anyone affected by central vision loss, and carers are welcome as well. If you'd like further information on this, please contact Alan Newson on 020 8886 5659. That's Alan Newson on 020 886 5659. The Home Library Service is part of Enfield Libraries and provides a delivery service to people living in the borough who are unable to visit a branch library due to age, mobility, disability or their caring responsibilities. We visit each of our members every 4 weeks. The service is free and we will tailor it to your taste. For visually impaired people, we can provide books in large print or recorded books on CD or cassette. We can also bring music on CD or films on DVD for people with some vision. Members are free to reserve particular items. If you'd like to join the Home Library Service or know someone who would, please call 01992 716 010 and we will arrange for the Community Access Librarian to visit you. I'll give you that number again. It's 01992 716 010. Do get in touch with us to share your own news and special announcements. We love to hear from you. If you have any comments about the Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 020 8805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she'll be pleased to help you. Now Janet will read the first item of local news.
More than 60 people protested about cuts to a scheme that has been supporting deaf people in the borough for 20 years. Enfield Council cut £43,000 from funding given to Enfield Disability Actions, EDA, Deaf Project, which helps and advises people on a range of issues. However, campaigners claim they were not consulted about the funding cut, which halved its budget, and now leaves them struggling to make up the shortfall. Protesters marched from Chase Gardens War Memorial to the Civic Centre via Enfield Town Centre, where a petition signed by 1,000 people was handed in to the council. Among the protesters were Rajswari from Palmer's Green, who is deaf-blind and has used EDA since 1998. The service also helps her 19-year-old daughter Chitranjika, who has cared for her mother since she was 13, and said she could not have coped with the past 6 years without the group's support. She said trying to juggle schoolwork and mum's disability was always very challenging. The support they have given me, you cannot put a price on that. Children should not be left to deal with this alone, but that is what will happen. I'm disgusted with how the council have handled this. It's like they do not care. It is really very hurtful. Today there were lots of people taking pictures, cars beeping as we marched. We handed out lots of leaflets. It was nice to see. It felt like we were heard. Rajeshwari, who is taking part in the march on her 51st birthday, added, "They've helped me live my life. They understand everything. I'm worried about the future, but I'm glad we were able to show ourselves today." They were probably quite surprised there were so many of us. Mary White, EDA Deaf Project Manager, said, "We're trying to carry on, but there's not a never-ending supply of money. Once the reserves go, we don't know. People trust us. We're a safe place they can come for advice. The problem is the deaf community don't have a voice. We help with things they do not find easy, which you or I take for granted. Say, for example, you lost your bank card. A deaf person could not call their bank to cancel it, but we'll help them do these things." Enfield Council spokesman Andrew Golder said the council needed to make $56 million in savings by 2020, adding, "This is having a huge impact on council services across the board, as well as funding levels available for voluntary and partner organisations. The council remains committed to ensuring our deaf communities have access to council services and provides a British Sign Language interpreter service and a monthly drop-in service."
The acting chief executive for North Middlesex University Hospital said she hoped a HIT squad of inspectors would give the crisis HIT casualty department a needs improvement rating on their next visit next month. A surprise visit by the Care Quality Commission, CQC, inspectors in April saw the A&E department, which sees 500 to 600 patients a day, rated inadequate. Medical care, including care for older people, was said to require improvement after inspectors visited the Charles Coward General Medical Ward for Men and T8 Renal Ward. The acting chief executive, Libby McManus, arrived last month to lead the team after Chief Executive Julie Lowe went on leave. The CQC issued North Middlesex University Hospital NHS Trust with a warning notice to pull its socks up and significantly improve the treatment of patients attending the emergency department. An action plan has been drawn up, and the watchdog says it has to see improvements by Friday, August the 26th. Miss McManus told the Advertiser that, although she would like to see the watchdog give all services top ratings, she would be happy for some areas which are rated inadequate to be rated as requiring improvement. She added, "I hope that there are areas that are wonderful." The CQC followed up its spring inspection with a visit at the end of June. Sir Mike Richards, the Chief Inspector of Hospitals, said, "We have already seen some progress since that original inspection." North Middlesex's Medical Director, Dr. Cathy Cale, told last Thursday's board meeting, "We are doing work that is for improving patient care. That is not for ticking CQC boxes. We clearly need to make this sustainable. This is not a flash-in-the-pan moment. We are working hard to get it embedded." The General Medical Council had previously taken the unusual step of saying it would not send trainees to the hospital. It has now overturned this decision, and trainees are due to start this month. The CQC is keen to hear from staff and patients in advance of its visit in September, and can be contacted on its website at inquiries@cqc.org.uk or by telephone on 03000 616161.
Enfield Town Centre's beach has been hailed unbelievably successful by shop owners and the public. Enfield Market Beach was officially opened on July the 21st and was visited by hundreds of people. Taking up 100 square metres of the marketplace, with 20 tonnes of sand, plus deck chairs, tiki huts, buckets and spades, and a palm tree, the beach proved an instant hit with school children celebrating their summer holidays. Other free activities including martial art demonstrations, Zumba, face painting, colouring and music hosted by James Crowther of Radio JJ. James said it was unbelievably successful and a real joy to see so many families returning day after day to join in all the free activities. Running the beach saw collaboration between various businesses in Enfield Town. Jim Eustace, trustee and chairman of Enfield Market Committee, said the beach was a lovely event, and whilst we hope it raises awareness of Enfield Market, we hope Enfield residents and others will now take the opportunity to visit and enjoy what's on offer. Glenn Norman, who runs a fruit and veg store every day at the market, added, "The beach was a great bit of fun for the market. We were trying to do our bit for the beach, so we got in plenty of soft fruits and some exotic fruits for all our customers to enjoy." Richard Landsberg, who runs a watch stall, said, "The beach was a great idea. We hope everyone who visited had an enjoyable time."
Here are two articles about the riots on the 7th of August 2011, now some 5 years ago. I'll read the first one and Janet will read the second article. "If I had been here by myself, I would probably have been killed," said pharmacist Deepak Shah, recalling the night when he and his brother were trapped inside their Enfield Town shop as a mob looted goods from the store. Mr. Shah and his brother Hitesh were doing paperwork in the shop and were unaware that police on horseback were dealing with disorder at the nearby Tesco store. However, when they went to leave, a youth ran across Southbury Road to the family-run business they founded 32 years ago, and the brothers used furniture to barricade themselves in the shop as a mob of teenagers grabbed what they could from the front of Health Fair Chemist. They were teenagers, probably from 14 to 18 or 20. They took perfume and bracelets, he said. In all, it was estimated they took more than £700 worth of goods and caused hundreds of pounds worth of damage to the shop window, in addition to thousands of pounds in lost earnings. 2 looters were sent to prison after the incident, which was filmed by Russian TV. The brothers made a frantic call to the police, but were told no one was available to help, and stayed in the shop until 3 a.m. They neglected their duty of care, said Mr. Shah. He said that no one from the police had ever visited to apologise. The pharmacy opened the next day to dispense medicines to patients, and it took a week to function properly after the front windows were replaced. Mr. Shah is still chasing up some paperwork from the riots. 5 years on, his message to the rioters is, you can't get something for nothing in society. What you put in is what you get out. You end up in prison. Look closely at the window beside the shop door at G. Mantella Jewellers in the town, and you might spot a 12-inch scar on the glass. It's a reminder of the night when a gang forced open the barriers and made off with £40,000 worth of watches from the front window. Police intervened to prevent them from grabbing an array of necklaces displayed in the opposite window, and 2 people served prison sentences for their role. Owner Erdal Mehmet keeps 2 photos of the riots in his back office, one showing the mob attacking the barriers at Mantella's. He also retains a Love Enfield sticker on the front window. We got an alarm call when the shutter was attacked and we came straight down from Baker Street, he said. I've never been in a war zone, but it felt like a war situation. I didn't think it would ever happen in Enfield. The shop opened the following day. I thought, we're not going to let them beat us, said Mr. Mehmet. He said that people deserved a second chance and hoped that those involved had learned from their mistakes. I do wonder if it was a lot of herd mentality where people were seeing everybody else doing it and they didn't stop to think what they were doing, he added. Mr. Mehmet praised Enfield's resilience afterwards. There was calm in Enfield and everyone was pulling together, he said.
This is another story about 5 years ago, where Enfield was a crime scene and earned the unenviable title as the site of Europe's largest arson attack, as a warehouse full of electrical equipment went up in smoke. Across Enfield there are 182 recorded crimes, compared with 314 in Haringey and 430 in Croydon. The riots had started in Tottenham on Saturday, August the 6th, after anger spilled out onto the streets following the police shooting of Mark Duggan. By the following afternoon, would-be rioters on social media said Enfield would be one of the next targets. An estimated 300 rioters tore through the streets, some of them simply caught up in the moment, as they were later to tell the courts. They were met by 150 police, including mounting police and officers from Thames Valley. A mob of looters attacked part of Ponders End, Edmonton and Palmer's Green, as well as stores in Enfield town, where mounted police tackled the rioters. The following night, rioters targeted the Sony warehouse in the Innova Business Park in Enfield Lock and set it alight. By 11:30 p.m, the warehouse had gone up in smoke. It was Europe's largest arson attack. Firefighters in Edmonton came under attack as they dealt with 9 serious blazes. Southgate Fire Station manager David Alley was the first senior firefighter to arrive at Sony. He had already worked a day shift and faced another 12 hours at the warehouse, which was used for data storage. It was an aluminium structure and there were a lot of CDs, he said. It was unsafe for the firefighters to go inside as the aluminium was molten. The thing that stuck in my mind was the resilience of the firefighters. Generally, you would be relieved after 3 hours, and they did 12 hours. They did not complain, and they did their best to stop it spreading. The then Enfield North MP, Nick Dubois, was on the scene as rioters ran amok. He remembered feeling very angry as there was a huge amount of criminality. He added, "It was bizarre. The police had closed off London Road, but there were still people coming out of the station as the trains hadn't been stopped." Residents living near Silver Street urged him to tell Prime Minister David Cameron what he had seen. "There was no fear, there was anger," he said. "What is infuriating is that the people who turned up came in their souped-up cars to go looting." After the Sony warehouse was set alight, Home Secretary Theresa May visited, and Mr Cameron intervened to ask the company chief executive not to leave. Mr Langdon said, "It was my first experience of something like that. We were just driving out down the street. There was one fire after the next. We were putting them out. Because of the riots, the fire crews had to stay behind police lines and were also involved in giving police officers first aid." Mr Langdon added, "It was shocking what I remember that night. It was pretty hot, with fires on the left and fires on the right-hand side of you."
A vintage-themed Southgate coffee shop is celebrating winning a business Oscar. Brothers Joseph and Franco Suvani, co-owners of Claude W. Dennis, next to Southgate Underground Station, picked up Enfield's Business of the Year award at a gala evening. The glittering event was organised by the London Federation of Small Businesses at the Pullman Hotel in St Pancras. Opened just 2 years ago in the premises of a former Greasy Spoon, the Independent coffee shop occupies the ground floor of a 3-storey building constructed in 1933 by architect and developer Claude W. Dennis. He would have remained largely forgotten had the brothers not stumbled across a treasure trove of period documents, papers, posters, stained glass windows, and even a door marked private from the time when Mr Dennis previously ran his own business from the premises. They decided to incorporate the original fixtures and fittings and posters when restoring the premises to its former Art Deco glory, and named the business after him in his memory. The vintage past is blended with the modern world, with iPads for customers to use while waiting for their coffee, and a special screen showing bus and tube arrivals and departures, plus classic jazz and 1930s music. Judges at the awards bash voted it Business of the Year because it successfully combined innovation and sustainability, and because of its community involvement, being an active member of the Chamber of Commerce and the main sponsor of last month's Summer Festival. The award was presented by Anna Laughlin, the manager of Enfield Council's Business and Economic Development Services team. We are incredibly proud of the achievement and recognise and the recognition for all the hard work by our wonderful staff, said Joseph Suvani. It was also the culmination of a dream fulfilled for Joseph and Franco and their mum, Mary, who had run a coffee shop herself in Cyprus before moving to Britain following the Turkish military occupation of the Mediterranean island in 1974. Joseph added, "We used to say to her, 'You should open up a coffee shop,' and it became a running joke as we knew she was too busy raising myself and my 6 siblings. She would reply, 'If you open one, I'll help you,' and her advice and know-how have been invaluable."
Archaeologists have uncovered evidence of a staircase and a cache of Tudor workers' tools buried beneath a historic Enfield estate. The selection included a hammer with parts of its wooden handle still visible and was discovered by Enfield Archaeological Society during its annual dig at the site of the historic Elsinge Palace, which stood in the grounds where Forty Hall is now in Forty Hill. Queen Elizabeth I and Edward VI spent part of their childhoods at the palace. They heard about the death of their father, Henry VIII, while they were there. John Pinchbeck from Enfield Archaeological Society said the team of diggers uncovered a range of finds. One of the most interesting things we found was an unusual concentration of what we think may be mostly Tudor hand tools, he told the Advertiser. Many of them were too badly corroded to identify immediately, but one was clearly a hammer, which even had traces of its original wood handle still in the socket. Also discovered was a fragment of purple-stained glass as the mid-16th century room was excavated. Mr. Pinchbeck said this was a very unusual find for the site. The diggers also found a delicate bone hairpin. It has a carved decoration and evidence that it was once coloured green. It is a very evocative and personal object that may once have adorned a royal head, said Mr. Pinchbeck. The team spent a week excavating the site and welcomed members of the public to have a look as part of the National Festival of Archaeology, which runs throughout July. The excavation looked at the interior of a building which the Society first uncovered 2 years ago. This year, archaeologists wanted to learn more about the size of the building and the way it was built. The discovery of the remains of what is thought to be the site of a wooden staircase suggests that the building had at least 2 floors. Other treasures revealed during the dig include the remains of expensive coloured glazed floor tiles which were removed when the palace was demolished in 1650. Archaeologists found pieces of green, yellow, brown and black tiling which helped them build up a picture of how the room looked in its heyday. Mr. Pinchbeck added, "We also found a number of walls, although most of these were fairly insubstantial, and in some cases were only made of a thin line of roof tiles laid in mortar."
Students who created electrifying and amazing artwork have won an award. Teenagers from Highland School in World's End Lane, Winchmore Hill, were invited to enter a competition by Lovell, which is working on the regeneration of Ponders End High Street. It invited Year 10 students studying for their GCSE in art to create designs for the project's site hoardings as buildings for the new electric quarter gets underway. The young artists used the area's association with electric light bulb inventor Joseph Swan, who lived on Ponders End High Street, to come up with their designs. Bruce Goddard, Highland School head teacher, said, "I'm so proud of our talented students. I'm so pleased that so many more people can now see the amazing artwork that is produced in school day in and day out." The students, who are aged 14 and 15, were presented with awards by the Considerate Constructors Scheme and also received prizes from Lovell, including art books. Lovell Regional Director Michael O'Farrell said, "Everyone loved the students' designs and they looked amazing on the hoardings. It's been great to involve local students in a scheme which is bringing such important benefits to their neighbourhood. The new development will create 167 homes, a library, shops and commercial units." Enfield Council Cabinet Member for Economic Regeneration and Business, Councillor Alan Sitkin, said, "I'm really pleased to hear how the entry from local students won a national competition. They worked hard and should be very proud of the vibrant and creative pieces they produced. It will really brighten up the site."
got a picture of a lovely new BMW, and obviously the driver was in a hurry to get into the estate agent. Because an estate agent insists it was business as usual, despite the car crashing through its front of its premises. Bennett Warden on Alderman's Hill, Palmer's Green, was hit by the BMW in the early hours of the morning. The driver, who sustained minor head injuries, was treated at the scene. Mark Brinkley, director of Bennett Warden, said, "We are open as usual. We probably shouldn't be, but we want to carry on as normal. Our office was badly damaged structurally as the car hit the side and the bumper got caught on a main support. I believe the driver tried to reverse a couple of times. As a result, he pulled the side out. They could not remove the car until supports were put in. Otherwise, the shop front would have collapsed. Obviously, it has affected the business, as we are currently partly boarded, and the council has placed a sticker saying unsafe structure. I'm hoping that the original shop front can be retained, but I'm not sure. The freeholder is dealing with the building's insurance, so all I can do is sit and wait."
Enfield Council ignored advice to create dropped curbs between the bike and pedestrian lanes in its second Cycle Enfield consultation. Transport for London's road safety audit suggested the authority make changes to the A105 leg of the scheme, coupled with public opinion, prompted a second survey. The multi-million-pound scheme will create cycle lanes alongside major roads in the borough. But the council insists creating dropped curbs would be too difficult because of existing constraints, and overlooked recommendations to create a speed limit. It also stood by its decision to create bus borders, even though TfL said these were too narrow and could cause problems for people waiting to get on, especially the disabled and blind. However, bosses agreed to use different material and create signs to show the waiting area more clearly. They also said monitoring will be undertaken post-implementation to review the safety implications of the proposed design. Council Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said the A105 scheme and the other 3 planned routes were designed to benefit the widest possible range of people as possible. He said, "It is good practice to carry out an audit for all major traffic schemes to identify potential risks, irrespective of the likelihood of them occurring. This is an ongoing process, and our detailed designs will be subject to a further safety audit before being built. We have complete confidence in the safety of all aspects of the scheme, as do TfL."
Enfield Town won 3-2 against Skelmersdale United in a 50th anniversary celebration of the FA Amateur Cup final. In the 1966-67 season, the now defunct Enfield Football Club won 3-0 in a replay at Main Road after a 0-0 draw at Wembley, in which Enfield keeper Ian Wolstenholme saved a penalty at the end of extra time. After an even start in the friendly 50 years later, Town slowly took control, and the first goal attempt came in the 9th minute when Mark Kirby headed wide from a corner. Chances came thick and fast for the away side, and after 15 minutes, Corey Whiteley was able to round the goalkeeper and slot home from a tight angle. Before the end of the first half, Nigel Neater scored his first goal for Town after some neat interchanges in the midfield to make it 2-0 at the break. Town started the second half like they finished the first, and the pressure resulted in a third goal in the 62nd minute, as Winter played in Whiteley, who was able to score his second. But United did not give in, and 3 minutes later the deficit was reduced as they scored from the penalty spot. The home side added another in the 77th minute, but they were unable to gain a third to tie the game as Town held on until the final whistle. Town also beat Ware 3-1 in another pre-season friendly at Woodson Park, which showed Town's preparations for the coming season are heading in the right direction. The Towners took the lead with a bit of magic from Samir Bihoumeddin, which saw his solo effort create some space and find the Ware net from 25 yards out. However, the home side quickly hit back as Gareth Price beat Town keeper Nathan MacDonald as the first half ended level. In the second half, Enfield received a penalty when Aston Goss tussled with Whiteley, who fired home from the spot. Tyler Campbell then put the game beyond reach for Ware as his lob from 50 yards was enough to seal the win. Adding another pre-season game to the mix, Enfield would travel to Coles Park Stadium to face Haringey Borough. It will be the official opening of the new 3G pitch at the ground, and Haringey have announced entry will be free for everyone. There will be an official opening ceremony on pitch side at 2:45 p.m. prior to kick-off at 3 p.m.
The murderer of a teenager who was stabbed as he walked home from a birthday party in Enfield has been given a life sentence. Adrian Carpenter was found guilty at Woolwich Crown Court of murdering 17-year-old Gary Scott from Tottenham and was recommended by the judge to serve at least 23 years behind bars. Carpenter, 30, was also given 2 other jail terms to be served at the same time: 12 months for supplying and possession with intent to supply cannabis, and 10 months for possession of a blade, to which he had already pleaded guilty. Jermaine Reid, 28, found guilty of the manslaughter and drugs offences, was sentenced to 12 years in prison. Carpenter and Reid, both of Victoria Road, Stroud Green, had met up with Gary at about 9 p.m. on December the 1st last year, but had argued on the basketball court in Marquis Road, Stroud Green, where the murder happened. Gary was taken to hospital but later died from stab wounds. 2 days later, Carpenter and Reid were arrested by police. They both admitted to being at the scene, and Carpenter later admitted carrying a knife and stabbing Gary. Following the sentence, Gary's family released a short statement saying, "Our kids should be burying us, not us burying our kids. Too much young life is being lost."
The Victorian Theatre at Alexandra Park is being brought back to life after being closed for more than 80 years. But the Park and Palace Charitable Trust needs the public to help raise money for this to happen. The historic venue, which dates back to 1875, is set to open its doors in 2018, with theatrical performances, cinema screenings, comedy and live music as part of a long-term plan for the palace to be restored to its former glory and be protected for future generations. The theatre is an incredible piece of theatrical history and remains frozen in time, with much of the original furnishings and rare stage machinery still in place. It was created to showcase opera, musicals, plays and all kinds of entertainment, and even hosted early cinema screenings. The plan is to repair and refurbish the eastern end of the palace, and the East Court will become the Great Hall and be a space for public exhibition. The overall project represents the largest investment in Alexandra Palace for a generation. Haringey Heritage Lottery Fund is putting $18.8 million towards the project, while Haringey Council is contributing $6.8 million. And Alexandra Park and Palace Charitable Trust are hoping to raise the remaining $1 million so the project can be completed. Every donation received will go directly towards the theatre's restoration and receive a permanent tribute for playing a part in transforming Alexandra Palace. Louise Stewart, Chief Executive at Alexandra Park and Palace Charitable Trust, says, "The theatre has been hidden away for over 80 years, which created a unique and atmospheric space which you can't fail to be moved by. As Alexandra Palace is the original People's Palace, held in trust for the public to enjoy forever. So we are appealing to the public to help us make sure that this truly wonderful space can once again delight and entertain them, the audience it was intended for."
Residents are being urged by the council to roar on the borough's homegrown Olympic heroes when the world's greatest sporting event gets underway in Rio. And it is hoping it will inspire people to get off the couch, get active, and try their hand at one of the 42 different sports which the 206 countries will compete for in the 2016 Games. 7 of the Great Britain Olympic squad were either born in Enfield, live in the borough, or represent a club based in the borough, and they are 2012 double equestrian Olympic gold medalist Charlotte Dujardin, Ben Mayer, equestrian gold medalist in 2012, and bronze medal winning high jumper Robbie Crabarts, swimmer Chris Walker-Hebborn in the 100 metres backstroke, Margaret Adeoye 4x400 metre relay, Desiree Henry 100 and 4x100 relay, Chichindu Uja 100 metre and 4x100 metre relay. Crystal Fonyonga, Enfield Council's Cabinet Member for Community Safety and Public Health, posed beside the special gold box in Southbury Road, Enfield Town, painted by the Royal Mail in honour of Dujardin's achievements and at the 2012 London Olympics. She explained, "The Olympics is a global festival of sport, and our borough is brilliantly represented by a wide selection of competitors across a range of incredibly demanding disciplines. The best bit is once you feel suitably inspired, you can try out the vast majority of these disciplines in Enfield. We want everyone to back Enfield's sporting heroes and the rest of Team GB as they search for glory on the ultimate sporting stage. And I urge residents to use their exploits as inspiration to get up and about, be more active, and embrace a healthier lifestyle."
Acclaimed actor Simon Callow swapped starring roles for front-of-house duties when he manned the box office phones at Chicken Shed Theatre. The celebrated actor, director, author and musician was taking bookings for the Christmas pantomime Adventure to Oz after tickets went on sale at the theatre in Chaseside, Southgate. Before becoming a successful actor, the Shakespeare in Love star worked in the box office at London's Old Vic Theatre in 1967. It was director Sir Laurence Olivier who advised him that working there would be a good starting point before getting into theatre. "It was the making of me. I didn't know what to do with my life at all," Mr. Callow said. After writing a fan letter, he was surprised to receive a letter in which Olivier replied, "If you like this place so much, why don't you come and work here? There's a job in the box office." At the time, becoming a professional actor had not been a career aspiration. "I didn't say to Laurence Olivier, 'I want to be an actor.' I didn't have any idea about acting. It didn't cross my mind, Mr. Callow admitted. It was gaining experience in the box office and the advantage of watching theatre rehearsals which prompted his move into acting. I suddenly thought there's this wonderful world with really interesting people who are involved in something that is exciting and important and very high profile, he added. I thought I want to be part of that.
Now here's an article from the Enfield Independent about that suburban oasis, Oakwood, London N14. Occupying the ridge between the Barnet and Lee valleys, Oakwood has managed to retain a quiet, almost rural atmosphere, despite being sandwiched between both Enfield Town and Southgate. In fact, its proximity to these two bustling areas makes Oakwood a popular place to live, particularly for families attracted by plenty of green spaces and the excellent transport links into central London. The area is largely residential, with many wide tree-lined roads filled with 1930s family homes and newer developments of modern flats and apartments. For people passing through, perhaps the most recognisable part of Oakwood is its imposing underground station. Originally called Enfield West, Oakwood Station opened in 1933 and was designed by Charles Holden, the architect responsible for many of the striking underground station designs around the capital. Near to the station, along Bramley Road, there are parades of small independent shops, restaurants and cafes. Larger high street stores and services can be found in nearby Enfield Town. Before the underground system extended this far north, the area was more of a rural community, and although Oakwood has now become joined to Southgate and Enfield, the parks and green spaces of the area mean that it still retains a countryside feel. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the area is named after the oak woodlands that once covered the area, and although the Oakwood is now mainly residential, Oakwood Park, Grovelands Park and Oak Hill Park are all close by. However, the largest open space in the area is Trent Park, a country estate that dates back to the 14th century. The Grade 2 listed mansion house once belonged to the wealthy Sassoon family. During this time, the mansion often played host to film stars and dignitaries such as Charlie Chaplin and Sir Winston Churchill. Then, during the Second World War, it was used as a rather grand prisoner of war camp for high-ranking German officers and generals. Today, the majority of the 800-acre park is open to the public, with woodland walks, wildlife, ornamental ponds and a picnic area. The park is also the home to a large golf course, sports centre and an award-winning equestrian centre. Oakwood's excellent transport links and quiet residential roads make it a pleasant and popular place to live, and with so much open space you can almost forget that you are on the edge of one of the world's busiest cities.
A man who brutally beat his victim to death in an Enfield street has been jailed for 6 years. Sean Gomez, 48, of Addison Road, Enfield Highway, who had previously been found guilty by a jury of the manslaughter of 47-year-old Mustafa Langling, was sentenced at the Old Bailey. Mr. Langling was attacked close to his home in Cherry Road, Enfield Highway, on September last year, following an argument in the street with Gomez. The victim had left his house with 2 friends and came involved in a verbal altercation with Gomez. Sparked by Mr. Langling asking Gomez, "What are you looking at?" It quickly escalated to violence, with Gomez grabbing and headbutting Mr. Langling before kicking him as he lay on the ground. Before dragging the dying man's body to the bin area, he sought to justify the attack to the 2 men who had been with Mr. Langling before all 3 of them left him lying there critically injured. He was found by a passing woman about 9:10 p.m. An ambulance was called, but he was pronounced dead at 9:41. A post-mortem examination established the cause of death as blunt force trauma to the head. Gomez was arrested by detectives from the Metropolitan Police Homicide and Crime Command the next day and charged shortly after. Mr. Langling was unemployed at the time of his death, the court heard, with a stepdaughter and stepson, neither of whom lived with him.
A new campaign has been launched to encourage people to recycle their unwanted shoes and clothes. As well as giving them to charity shops, Enfield Council says items can also be placed in 30 recycling banks located throughout the borough, or taken to Barrowell Green Recycling Centre in Winchmore Hill. The council aims to recycle 50% of its waste by 2020, which could save them £1 million a year. Cabinet Member for Environment, Councillor Daniel Anderson, said residents are doing a fantastic job of recycling, but we want people to think twice before throwing away their old clothes and shoes. Don't just throw textiles in the black waste bin. Stop and think. Can this be used in some way? Even clothes in poor condition or worn shoes can often be recycled to help those in need.
Ashley Siraja took 7 wickets as Southgate claimed an 86-run victory at Ealing to go top of the Premier Division of the Middlesex County Cricket League. The visitors have enjoyed a stunning run of results in recent weeks to move into title contention, and Siraja's heroics with the ball, coupled with a terrific innings from Tom Edrich, helped them to secure another triumph which enabled them to take over from Richmond at the top with 5 matches remaining. Having won the toss and elected to bat, the platform for Southgate's victory was laid by an extremely patient partnership of 90 for the second wicket between Michael Stevens and Edrich. Stevens held firm for 94 deliveries on his way to making 38, while Edrich defied the bowlers for 161 balls as he amassed a crucial 75. However, the visitors struggled after this stand had been broken, as Christian Martin and Chris Glasper worked their way through the batting, with Phil Dunnett the only other man to reach double figures as they were dismissed for 196. The importance of Edrich's innings became fully apparent once Ealing began their reply, as all of the host batsmen struggled for runs. Ahmed Elek was the only man to offer any significant resistance in the face of some stunning bowling from Siraja, who ended with the remarkable figures of 7 for 37 as the hosts crumbled to 108 all out to give Southgate their 5th successive win. Meanwhile, Winchmore Hill maintained their place at the top of Division 3 by claiming a 3-wicket win at home to North London. Jack Henson, 6 for 41, shone with the ball as he ripped through North London's top order after the visitors elected to bat first. Will Lake, 51, launched a spirited fight back from the visitors, but they still ended up being dismissed for 152. Jim Gatting, 69, and skipper Delaray de Planche, 45, then played the key roles with the bat, as Hill eased to victory, overcoming a late collapse to make it to 154 for 7. But there was disappointment for Enfield, as they had to make do with a losing draw at Indian Gymkhana in Division 2. Captain Kyle Bacchus-Brown led from the front with an outstanding unbeaten 103, sharing in a partnership of 61 for the 4th wicket with Craig Williams, as the visitors declared on 210 for 8 batting first. Indian Gymkhana lost both openers cheaply in reply, but Puneet Mehra came to their rescue by making 92, and Rakesh Khada chipped in with 39 not out to help them reach 190 for 6, with their faster rate of scoring seeing the hosts claim the winning draw.
More cricket now, and North Enfield earned a competitive draw against second place Bishop Stortford seconds in Hearts Division 2B. Batting first, Stortford, the home side, used all 53 overs to reach 254 for 6, as their innings got off to a shaky start with opening bowler Derek Sanders 4 for 83, removing opener Stuart Felsted for a 13-ball duck. But from there, Stortford rebuilt well, and safe in the knowledge that they had plenty of batting to come, played their shots throughout. North Enfield looked to wrestle back control, taking 2 wickets in quick succession, reducing the home side to 65 for 3 after 17 overs, but once again Stortford played their way out of a hole, targeting the shorter boundary. Sanders returned to take 2 wickets, leaving the home side on 133 for 5, but this brought Damien Westwood to the crease, and he played a powerful innings until Sanders bowled him for 47 from 58 balls. Chasing down a total of 254 in 47 overs would always have been a tough task for Enfield, but it was made even harder when they were reduced to 38 for 3 after 9 overs. From that point, the win was never on the cards, and with some serious rebuilding to do to reach the runs required for batting bonus points, captain Kieran Jones, 72 not out, and Andy Pearson, 30, put on a vital 76-run partnership. When Pearson was removed by Alex Palmer with the score on 130 in the 36th over, Khalid Abubaker, 11 not out, came to the crease and dutifully picked up where Pearson left off, rotating the strike, and together with Jones saw the side to 179 from 47 overs. The draw leaves North Enfield in 8th place in the league, with only 13 points separating 5 teams.
Police have released further details about the woman who was struck by a train at Enfield Lock Station. She was 46 and died following the incident last Friday morning. British Transport Police and an ambulance crew went to the station in Ordnance Road before the woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Lines between Cheshunt and Tottenham Hale were closed, or trains were diverted to Seven Sisters. The 121 buses were also diverted as Ordnance Road was closed off. A British Transport Police spokeswoman said the incident was not being treated as suspicious and the woman's next of kin had been informed. North London Coroner's Office said an inquest would be opened and adjourned in due course and a post-mortem examination would be held shortly.
A quarter of schools in the borough are outstanding, according to education watchdogs, beating the national average. It marks a great improvement for Enfield when in 2012 only 73% received one of the 2 top Ofsted ratings. The figures issued by Ofsted, whose inspectors visited all but one of the borough's 94 schools, reveal 94% of schools in Enfield are rated as good or outstanding, ahead of the national figure of 87% and London at 91%. Of the 93 schools inspected, 23 are rated outstanding, 64 are good, while 6 require improvement to be good. All 6 Enfield special schools were also either rated good or outstanding. Enfield Councillor Aifa Orhan, Cabinet Member for Education, Children's Services and Protection, said, "This is a remarkable result and I congratulate all our schools, those who have achieved great results and those who I know are striving for improved Ofsted reports. These recent results demonstrate the commitment of our fantastic school leaders and staff at all levels. Expertise and hard work shows what can be done. It has happened at a time of great pressure when school staff and council officers have worked solidly to create more school places to meet demand by improving and expanding school premises. This is a magnificent achievement and I wish all our school staff and pupils a well-earned summer break.
Botany Bay's fears of relegation from the Premier Division of the Saracens' Hertfordshire County Cricket League intensified when they could only pick up 2 points from a draw at fellow strugglers North Mimms. Nice and Geratinum batted throughout the host innings to end up undefeated on 113 not out, as they posted a total of 258 for 5. Hamza Quayram chipped in with 55, while Michael Harris took 3 for 60. Bay struggled with the bat in reply and were forced to battle hard to stave off the threat of defeat, as they eventually closed on 161 for 8. Ben Haugigo top scored with 40, while Ryan Wallace made a crucial 36 not out. Botany Bay host Harpenden next.
We've reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of Janet, Sally, Colin and Keith and Robin on the controls, it's goodbye. Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the memory stick into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible, in readiness for the next edition. Don't forget you can call Diane de Jersey regarding any help you may require in connection with Enfield Talking Newspaper. Her number is 020 8805 6578. Coming up next, the latest news and information for the Greater London area from InfoSound. The Enfield Talking Newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.